Okay, I'm not allowed to do this. I'm not supposed to do this. I know. Calm down. Just calm down. But oh man, there's a trend among teenagers to hide their foreheads. They don't want to have a big, tall forehead. And oh, I'm laughing. I'm laughing so fucking hard right now. I'm laughing so hard. And it's not at the teenagers, it has nothing to do with the teenagers. They don't know about phrenology. So they don't know. They just don't know. Oh man, it's so funny to me, and it has nothing to do with them. I'm going to tell you a funny story. Something that's funny to me has nothing to do with these kids. I'm not making fun of these kids. I am making fun of the 20th century though, and I'm definitely going to make fun of the 19th century in phrenology. And one of my favorite authors. Okay, so Robert E. Howard in his Kane, Solomon Kane series. He describes Solomon Kane as having a tall, intelligent forehead. So, man, in the early 1900s, you wanted to have a great big tall, you wanted to have a big, huge forehead. So all these kids are like, oh, I don't want a big forehead, I want a little short forehead, I want a little head, a small skull, They have no idea. They have no idea that they are at the extreme end of a reaction to a very, very silly science from 100 years ago. They have no idea. They are just being silly children who are like, oh, I have whatever they think, a subnormal trait, a supernormal trait, whatever. They're just comparing themselves in silly ways. But that's what phrenology was. That's what science in the 1800s was. So all of this racism that's so toxic, what these kids are doing is they're responding in an extreme way to racism, because that's what racism in the 1900s was. So when like Kant is saying all of his evil shit about the southern hemisphere, it comes from a place of childlike observations of reality. It comes from a place of lacking categories. So these kids don't know how to categorically examine their faces for being attractive. And so the really insecure, attractive kids are going to be like, oh, is my forehead too big? Which is important because the wanting a tall forehead thing was about insecure, intelligent people wanting to also be sexually viable. And so just thematically with my videos this morning, these kids are at the extreme end of an anti-intellectual movement that they have no idea about, because they have completely ignored everything that they don't know has to do with them. Which means the adult world, which means everything in the world that happened before they were born.